A technology has been developed that allows the creation of laboratory-grown babies. The creators hope that the technology will begin to be widely used around the world within the next 10 to 15 years. Parents will be able to watch their child's growth and development through a transparent womb, as well as monitor their health through an app on their smartphone. With the help of the world's first artificial womb, they will be able to customize the height, strength, and intelligence of their runaway offspring. Creating genetically modified children seems to be one of the main goals of science today. We told you about this in detail in our video titled, "A New Human Species is Being Created Right in This Moment." Well, apparently, the scientific circles have decided not to be so quiet and are starting to prepare us for the upcoming changes. At this point, many of you will probably be wondering about the moral part of all of this. Perhaps, as normal and ordinary people surrounded by our daily problems, none of us are interested in this topic, so that it is clear that the moral norms in this area seem to have been abandoned for a long time. Naturally, the scientific community argues that science has reached a point where it must either stop advancing or break some generally accepted norm that will allow it to continue to discoveries only seen in science fiction movies. One such idea is that of a biotech company that wants to create a synthetic human embryo to grow organs for donation. By wants to create, we mean that they have already done it successfully with mice. For now, Renewal Bio has not specified exactly how far they could go with their synthetic embryos. In this case, we are talking about the creation of a human embryo without a sperm, egg, or uterus. These embryos are not viable and will not develop into babies. They are early embryos with many cells that can be developed into specific organs. According to the scientists, the research is a big step forward in embryo science, as they believe that these synthetic embryos could eliminate the huge ethical problems associated with standard embryo research. Now, using human cells, scientists want to create artificial human embryos grown for organ transplants. This experiment could lead to the creation of embryos similar to a 40 to 50-day pregnancy, equipped with small organs that could be harvested and developed as donor ones or embryonic cells to be used to help with immune problems. According to Jacob Hanna, founder and author of the study, the embryo is the ultimate 3D bioprinter. It is the ultimate device for creating organs and appropriate tissues, she told MIT Technology Review. According to scientists, this is a much-needed solution to a long-standing problem, regardless of whether you agree with the method. According to the U.S. Resources and Services Administration, more than 106,000 people are waiting for a donated organ, and 17 people die every day waiting for one. The method also has its application in human reproduction. Known by the name in vitro gametogenesis, IVG, a method of producing gametes in a laboratory. Gametes are cells with a haploid chromosome set through which organisms reproduce sexually. In their very nature, gametes will be able to be created from cells taken from almost any part of the body. This makes it possible to create babies using muscle, liver, or blood cells. This procedure also raises many critical, ethical, and legal questions. However, scientists defend the method with the following arguments. It can help with infertility caused by cellular failure or cancer treatment and can be a solution for women who are experiencing premature menopause. In female-female couples, a baby can be created from one partner's skin cells using the other's eggs. In this case, a man is not needed to create offspring. Still, experts say the public and policymakers need to anticipate the ethical and legal hurdles this technology will create and act in response. IVG is predicted to raise serious legal and moral problems. It is possible for prospective parents to create a large number of embryos and implant only a few of them. Should regulations limit the number of embryos a person can create using their own cells? Should IVG-created embryos be treated the same as those obtained through existing fertilization technologies or through the old-fashioned method of creating children? Genetic testing can be done during pre-implantations to identify and remove unwanted embryos. Adding to the concerns surrounding the IVG method, couples or individuals can create hundreds of embryos to select the best using genetic tools. Some bioethicists believe that embryo farming may be a modern form of eugenics that values some lives more than others. Bioethicists also argue that we are drawn to our worst instincts. which include an unhealthy desire for mastery and a human perfectionism in which reproduction becomes production. What will happen to the excess embryos? The sale of sperm and eggs is already commonplace, and a similar scenario with embryos is very likely. And wouldn't gametes be generated from cells stolen from an unsuspecting person? Will the law be able to consider such persons as parents? Also, is it possible to prevent involuntary parenting? Can the law protect us from such a situation? Cell-derived human gametes raise numerous ethical, social, and legal questions, and we all need to consider them carefully. We all have a stake in the future of reproduction, and we need to start discussing this new technology that is about to hit a whole new level. Just a few days ago, Berlin-based Yemeni producer, director, and science communicator Hashim Al-Ghaili stunned the world by posting a video showing his concept for the first baby farm. He is a molecular biotechnologist by education and is known for his videos showing various scientific breakthroughs. The project is called Ectolife and is the world's first artificial womb facility where you will be able to choose your baby's features from a menu. Ectolife, capable of producing 30,000 babies per year, has been developed on the basis of over 50 years of pioneering scientific research. Infertile couples will be able to conceive and become real biological parents of their own children, thanks to Hashim Al-Ghaili's idea. Before implanting the embryo into the artificial womb, you can subject it to genetic engineering using the so-called elite package. You can choose everything from eye and hair color to strength, height, and intelligence, and avoid inherited genetic diseases. According to the World Health Organization, about 300,000 women die from pregnancy-related complications. An artificial placenta was created to reduce human suffering, the likelihood of cesarean sections, and premature births, as well as offering a solution for women who have had their reproductive organs removed. Hashim says this technology could also help countries suffering from severe population decline, such as Japan, Bulgaria, South Korea, and others. He believes that the technology is already available and that the only thing preventing the idea from becoming a reality are ethical constraints. Every single function specified in my concept is 100% scientifically based and already a reality. The only thing left is to create a prototype containing these functions in one device, says Hashim. As for the deadlines, they depend entirely on ethical standards. Research on embryos older than 14 days is currently not permitted. After day 14, embryos must be destroyed for ethical reasons. If, say, these ethical barriers are lowered, Ectolife could be widely used in 10 to 15 years. Also, it will take about 5 years to educate the public so that people adopt the technology. The facility has 75 labs, each of which can store up to 400 artificial wombs or growth capsules. Each capsule is manufactured to accurately create the conditions found in the mother's womb. Up to 30,000 laboratory-produced babies per year can be raised in one building. The modules display data on babies' development in real time on a screen. They can also be viewed via a smartphone app. Your baby can grow in an infection-free environment. The capsules are made of materials that prevent germs from sticking to them. Each growth capsule includes sensors that monitor your child's vital signs, including heart rate, temperature, blood pressure, respiratory rate, and oxygen saturation, says Al-Ghaili. The AI-based system also monitors the baby's physical characteristics and alerts you to possible genetic defects. The growth modules are equipped with internal speakers that play a wide range of words and music for the baby, as babies are believed to recognize language and learn words in the womb. You can use an app on your smartphone to choose a playlist for your baby to listen to, as well as speak directly to your baby to familiarize him with your voice before birth. If you want your child to excel and have a better future, the Elite package allows you to genetically engineer your embryo before implanting it into the artificial womb. Using the gene editing tool CRISPR-Cas9, which we detailed in our previous video, you can customize your eye color, hair color, skin color, physical strength, height, and intelligence level, among other things. This can also eliminate any genetic diseases that run in your family line. As a result, your child and future generations will live free of genetic diseases. Bioreactors are connected to the different groups of capsules. Babies receive nutrients and oxygen from an artificial umbilical cord connected to the first bioreactor. It also contains a liquid solution that functions as amniotic fluid in the uterus, rich in vital hormones, growth factors, and antibodies that support the baby's growth and development. Artificial intelligence controls the system of each baby and individually supplies substances according to its needs. The artificial umbilical cord carries the waste products produced by the babies into the second bioreactor, where they are processed. Using a sensitive layer of engineered enzymes, the bioreactor recycles waste products and turns them back into vital nutrients. In this way, babies receive fresh nutrients constantly and sustainably. Childbirth is quite simple. It is triggered by pressing a button. Once the amniotic fluid has been drained from the artificial womb, you can now remove your baby from the capsule. Whether in about 30 years this process will be called a simple birth, for now we can only guess. It seems that scientists have already made many revolutionary discoveries related to how the life of humanity will continue. And most likely in the next decade, we will witness a revolutionary leap in the field of medicine. But in the end, only time will tell if this is the case. Is the new human race created by man at our doorstep? Perfected humans without the flaws we know, with a perfect appearance, and protected from the incurable diseases that in recent years have become an increasing plague for humanity. What future awaits us? What kind of world will our children live in? Moreover, why do we not know anything about what is happening? We will find the answers to these questions in this video. The genetically modified humans are already among us. For the first time in the history of the world, in 2018 in Shenzhen, the first genetically modified children were born. Deep in the laboratories of China and the United States, the future of the human race is being forged even as we speak. Maybe it sounds a bit far-fetched, but in fact, this is already a real fact. Genetically modified people are already among us. 2 girls, born in 2018 in Shenzhen, China, are the first human beings born with an edited genome. The Chinese scientist He Zhongwei, who is the head of the scientific experiment, reported this at the time. The children are actually twins and belong to a Chinese family in which one parent is HIV positive. They are conceived through an in vitro procedure and programmed to be resistant to the virus. Attempts to replace the 2 mirror genes responsible for the immune response were successful only in one child, however. In the second, a certain mixing is observed, which unfortunately does not provide it with resistance. The first human experiment was carried out using the gene editing technology CRISPR-Cas9. What are the benefits and harms to humanity? Genetic engineering is not new at all. For over 40 years now, humanity has been striving to improve its tools for intervening in the genome of a huge number of species. The big breakthrough in editing human DNA came with a technology called CRISPR, inspired by natural defense mechanisms in bacteria and archaea. The discovery belongs to bioengineers Jennifer Doudna and Emmanuel Charpentier and was made in 2012. It allows the replacement of specific genes in a relatively easy and cheap way. With the help of the Cas9 protein, a type of scissors are created that cut the DNA at a precisely specified place. Thus, a new template DNA is introduced into the double strand of the molecule. The result is an edited gene that is already passed on to subsequent generations because it was replaced at the embryonic stage. This new method gives scientists hope that it can become a key tool leading to the victory over oncological and congenital diseases. It can also be used to create universal vaccines of a new kind, as well as bring enormous benefits to human health and longevity. However, this is in case we assume that it has fallen into the most suitable and humane hands. Otherwise, it could be used to introduce another social order based on genetic inequalities or equalities through homogenization. It could be the first step in the creation of a new human race in its evolutionary sense. Simply put, it could split humanity in 2. It is all in our hands and minds where we draw the line. Unfortunately, past and present have proven that we do not have the tools to create a unified, universal approach, and most likely, there will simply be no borders. The technology is now available in US and Chinese school labs. In this way, it is counted on for the faster improvement of the method, as well as all kinds of new discoveries for its possible applications. In Germany, however, only laboratories licensed for genetic research are allowed to work with CRISPR. The only European country that allows genetic experiments on humans at any early embryonic stage is England. A little later in this video, we will pay attention to what experiments are conducted there. Currently, universities and private corporations in the US and China are making huge strides in the genetic race, which, unlike the space race, will have real consequences for humanity. Where is Europe in the genetic race? For the first time in its history, the old continent is not a leading power in science. Europe, which was considered the source of human knowledge, philosophy, and progress, seems to have thrown its focus into pursuits related to its past, at a time when the future of the human race is being forged in laboratories of the United States and China. The genetic engineering revolution is in full swing, and we are looking at it with our eyes wide shut. Accessible and unregulated, this technology turns Homo sapiens into an evolutionary demiurge and opens the way to unimaginable inequalities and opportunities for the human race. The Superman patent race is now underway. On the other hand, it is unknown for what reason Europe does not seem to participate in it or simply does not talk about it. That is why we are still in the dark. Perhaps many of us are unsuspecting, unaware, or uninformed, but our children will most likely inhabit a world with genetic inequality. With market-regulated access to products such as extended lifespans, disease-free embryos, and universal genetic vaccines. As we mentioned before, in 2018, the first genetically modified babies were born. Wouldn't you agree that somehow someone has already got the ball rolling? In addition, in October 2017, we witnessed how the first robot received citizenship. She wants to be an artist and have a family. The humanoid Sophia became a citizen of Saudi Arabia, which made her the first artificial intelligence in history with subjection. If you want to know more about the humanoid Sophia, let us know in the comments that you would like a video on the subject. The big question is whether humanity is unprepared to meet the enormous philosophical questions raised by the bioengineering revolution. If not, is it taking steps in this direction? Because it seems we are much closer to that than we think. Do we want designer babies? As mentioned earlier in the video, London allowed the genetic modification of human embryos for the first time. Naturally, many of you are probably asking the same question as we are. Is it even a good idea for human genetic material to fall into the hands of genetic engineers? Moreover, perhaps the even bigger question, now that it is a fact, if this is the starting point, then what's next? There is nothing unnatural about science pushing society towards certain developments. This has been the case since time immemorial. Unfortunately, however, history shows that scientific development does not always move forward driven by the pure, idealistic drive for new knowledge, and that not all scientists are guided solely by concern for the common good. More and more of them seem to be driven by incentives such as ambition, competitive thinking, and business interest. In general, as if in recent decades and under the influence of large corporations, the motto is, once something is possible, we should do it before someone else has beaten us to it. Here we must strongly emphasize that we do not put everyone under a common denominator, but there is no way to close our eyes to the real situation. Of course, in such conditions, it is practically impossible to have a public discussion about the benefits and risks of some new methods. The modification of human embryos authorized in England uses the CRISPR method of gene editing, which we explained in detail at the beginning of the video. With these so-called new gene scissors, scientists in England are changing the hereditary information of living cells. It can be changed in any way, quickly, extremely precisely, and above all, cheaply. In turn, this makes the method in question interesting for small laboratories with a limited budget. Even more dangerous, however, is that the method is very easy to use by large laboratories in countries with low ethical standards. Moreover, from here follows the big question: what awaits us behind the corner? As we said at the beginning, A South Chinese team of scientists has for the first time carried out an intervention in the genetic code of human embryos. Perhaps more indicative of what may happen in the future with this technology is what is happening in the Beijing Genome Institute. Genetically modified pigs are already sold there. The size of the cute little animals is only a third of that of normal ones, and their color is according to the wishes of the respective customer. This makes us wonder if biology is gradually turning from a life science into an engineering one. To what spheres shall we admit this new science of engineering? To ourselves, the people? Moreover, in fact, will anyone even ask us? The British, for example, have previously shown their interest in such experiments. You may have forgotten, but more than 20 years ago in a Scottish laboratory, the cloned sheep Dolly was created. For now, scientists at the Francis Crick Institute in London deny that they intend to create designer human babies. They claim that their research is focused on answering fundamental scientific questions. Nevertheless, often after the study of fundamental questions, history shows that studies related to their practical application of these discoveries also come. The scientists at the London Institute believe that the granted permission will encourage other scientists to undertake genetic modification of human embryos. Are there any debates on the subject? Already a year ago, leading German scientists in the field of genetics clearly declared themselves against experimentation with human embryos. They even called for a moratorium on the genetic engineering of human embryos. However, everything ends at the end of 2015 in Washington's summit meeting on the issues of genetic engineering. It is convened by the Academies of Science of the USA, England, and China. The meeting surprisingly leads to a completely different result. On it, fundamental research on the human genome is declared admissible. Are we on our way to creating the first genetically optimized human? Isn't he already with us? In fact, since they are officially recognized in born children with deliberately altered DNA, can we say that the genetically altered through human intervention are already among us? Once changed, the DNA code begins to be passed down in each subsequent generation. Share your thoughts on the topic. More similar videos you can find in our channel. Support us by sharing this video and subscribing to the channel.